This town, if you are issued a speeding ticket in this town in South Carolina and you don't pay it the same day, they arrest you. Meaning that when the cop pulls you over right there on the spot, they want you to pay the ticket right there on the spot. If you do not pay that ticket right there on the spot, they are going to kidnap you. They are going to put shackles or what you call handcuffs on you. You understand? You may call it arrest. They arrest you. No, that is kidnapping and holding your ass for ransom by way of extortion, right? And this is a law that this town made up itself. It is outside of the South Carolina's laws or acts or codes or policies, if you will, right? It is outside of South Carolina's legislation. But this other town where they arrest you if you don't pay the speeding ticket when you get it is called Turbeville, South Carolina. Again, Turbeville, 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 South Carolina. So I'm going to share that with you, relatives, right quick, so you can see, and I'll find some information on Lawrence, South Carolina as well. So this is the time a class action suit has been filed seeking to force the teeny country town to nullify its town safety ordinance. That ordinance allows Turbeville to write traffic tickets with higher fines than state traffic tickets and keep the money from the citations. The suit also demands the town return millions of dollars to the tens of thousands of drivers who have received municipal tickets since the local ordinance was passed in 2003. So let's back up a little bit. When I say this is the no more ticket or click it movement, meaning that no more click it and ticket, right? And when I express the fact that this particular law or policy, safety belt policy, has milked our people for billions of dollars since 1985, and for some states going back, I guess, further than that. This is crazy. Like, you get pulled over for a speeding ticket, and if you don't cash out right there, you are going to be kidnapped and ransomed. Before they kidnap you, of course, they gonna sexually assault you. You know, y'all call that a search, bodily search, for doing something that is not even a crime. It is not a crime to exceed a suggested speed limit. Now, I can say that all day, but when somebody proves it to you by way of video footage, what do you do with that? Especially when you see another man or woman in that very same situation demonstrate that same information or that same law to other officers or highwaymen, patrolmen, and they completely ignore it and violate that individual anyway. So hold on. What I'm saying right here is the law that is being used is not being honored by those who don't honor law. Again, some patrolmen honor law when they're forced to. Many others do not. And many of us have come to the conclusion that they very well know that this information or about that law or about the Constitution, they're intentionally violating. And I say that's halfway true, because a lot of times they have no idea. They don't know law. They only know policy. Ain't that what y'all be saying? Somebody who sits the bench. Y'all may call them a judge or a magistrate. I never assume that these individuals know law. For me to do that is to assume that they are dishonorable. Maybe they just didn't know. Just like once upon a time, you may have not known. We can come together as a collective and force them to eliminate the safety belt law. Some people think that that's crazy, that I would even think that way. And again, it would be those of us who have amnesia real bad, which is most of us. Because again, every 4 years, y'all willing to go against one another in order to support a party that don't give a freak about you. And it's obvious that they don't care. From there, all the way to the Christian Black Code, Jim Crow, the vagrancy laws, the redlining, the red summer. You understand? Continuous wars against our people by way of their system. See, when we wake up and realize that the system isn't broken, it was invented to do exactly what we see it do, which is keep the wealthy wealthy and make them wealthier. You would have to go back to not just because I skipped over the Christian Crusades and I did not mention the doctrine of discovery. That doctrine of discovery is what they use as a treaty to be able to rob, steal, and kill by way of those who don't believe as they believe. So in other words, if you were not a Christian, with that alone, it was mandated, you know what I mean, for them to be able to take your life and take whatever you have and do other things that I won't even say on this platform. And I'll give y'all enough time to look up Turbeville, South Carolina, and after you look up Turbeville, South Carolina, look up Lawrence, South Carolina. Now, if that ain't some Christian Black Code shit, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. To show you that it still exists. Again, all they did was modify what continues to work for them until this day. They did not abolish any of the said acts and codes, i.e. policies, that enhanced their ability to gain more wealth. What I'm going to say to you is this: whether the preceding candidate turns out to be, or the elected CEO turns out to be Trump or Harris, either or those candidates is going to be excellent for their business. That's what I mean when I say it don't matter which one of them wins this election. Because again, either candidate will be good for business, the type of business that they do. You understand? Either candidate is going to make sure to keep the wealthy wealthy and make some of the elite wealthy people wealthier. That's their job. Their job is not to Captain Save or hold the hood. That's not their job. That's your job. If we gonna keep it real, it's not Trump's job. It wasn't Biden's job. It wasn't Clinton's job. It wasn't Bush's, none of the Bush's job. It wasn't Reagan's job. It wasn't Jimmy Carter's job. It wasn't Gerald Ford's job. It wasn't none of their jobs. They are not new practices. You know, most people wouldn't believe that a town or a city can make up laws or policies that aren't aligned with the laws and policies within the state that they're a subsidiary of. But these is actual facts. Like I showed it to you. I showed you Turbeville. I'm not sure if you'll be able to find an article on Lawrence. Again, that's Lawrence, South Carolina, that will discuss them putting your photograph in the newspaper if you get a ticket, a citation, infraction from them and you don't pay it the same day. But I know for a fact that it's happening because it happened to my coworker. Conversation became about how it's dozens of places in South Carolina called Plantation this and Plantation that. And based off of that, this individual no longer wants to reside in South Carolina, right? And over here, we could trump that. You have a whole state, Providence, Plantation of Rhode Island, who just in 2019, 2020, there was a petition to change the name of the Providence Plantation of Rhode Island. However, the entire name of Rhode Island is not Rhode Island. It's Providence Plantation, Rhode Island, or something like that. Again, they were able to get some legislation on the table to officially change the name of Rhode Island, right? So Rhode Island isn't in the South. That's not the South, right? But yet they have the name Plantation within their name. Again, Turbeville and Lawrence, South Carolina, and what they are doing to the people who have to pass through these towns, right? Just imagine if these people are willing to arrest you on the spot for a speeding ticket. If you don't pay it right there, Johnny, on the spot, you would have to know that even if you weren't speeding, there would be no way, to prove or disprove anything. They could just say that you were speeding. That's why I say when, their vice president is promising to sign some type of reparations bill, and she's in agreement that there needs to be more studies mandated for it. No, goddamn, we done did all the studies that need to be done already. We just need y'all to cut the check. We need speak their language. Speaking their language is to tell them to balance the books. Balance the books. That's it. Balance the books by way of cutting the checks. Balance the books by way of cutting the checks. But again, until that happens, we make agreements with one another. We make agreements with one another to make them honor what we present. And again, many people think that the issuance of reparations would bankrupt this so-called nation state or country. And that's just not true. What you can visibly see that they have on the books doesn't represent all of their wealth, right? And being that they feel like they need to do more research and more study while they're doing that, and let me say this, that also on their part, it represents an admission of guilt. So there has to be responsibility and accountability on the end of the federal government, right? I'm aware that we have many states, quite a few cities that are issuing reparations in their own way. We don't need more studies, but while they're doing their studies, what we will be doing is constructing not just movements, but documents showing that, okay, we have an admission of guilt on y'all end. So until y'all begin to cut the checks, we will not be liable for any type of property taxes, sale taxes, state taxes, city taxes, and so on and so forth.